Hey guys, this is Sam, and iOS 11 is right around the corner. In fact, if you're watching this video on YouTube before June 5th, we are looking at iOS 11 in less than 7 days. And if that's not exciting, then I really don't know what is. Personally, this is my favorite time of year. Number one, it's summer. Number two, I don't have school. And number three, we get to see the next version of iOS along with anything else software-wise that Apple's been dreaming up. So let's get into what we can expect. Now, I want to preface by saying it's weird that we don't know that much about iOS 11. In the past, I feel like we've seen so many more rumors, but this year it has been really slow for iOS 11. So what I want to talk about today is things that may happen, but that aren't 100% confirmed. There's really only two things that I've heard time and time again that we will be seeing with iOS 11, and the first is group FaceTime. The rumor indicates that group FaceTime will work with up to 5 people. Hallelujah, I'm glad to see this because it has been a long time coming. I think FaceTime debuted back with iOS 4 or 5. Please correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong, but we have waited quite patiently for this to come. So now you can FaceTime Aunt Jeannie, Grandma, and Grandpa, and the whole game with your 2 cousins with iOS 11. And next up is Siri Upgrades. And I know what you're thinking, and you're right. Haven't we heard about this every year since Siri was a thing? You, sir, ma'am, are correct because we have. With iOS 10, we were going to get this massive third-party overhaul, and it was going to change the way that we used our apps. And the iOS before that was supposed to be the major AI learning upgrade with iOS 9. It's rumored again for iOS 11, but I think that we might actually see something this time just because of the Siri speaker rumors. Siri is not equipped at this point in time to be your all-in-one virtual assistant. She's not. She can't get a lot of things right, but that's okay because I think they're gonna finally fix it this time. If they do, it's gonna be great. And if not, we'll be disappointed like we have for the past 4 years. All right, so taking a step back for just a minute, I said that those were the 2 things that we would be for sure seeing in iOS 11, but I forgot about 2 really important rumors from Bloomberg about iOS 11 as well, and if nothing else happens, these probably will. So up first here is a redesigned music app with a greater focus on video. So believe it or not, Apple's actually working on creating original shows like Hulu and Netflix are. The first one is called Planet of the Apps, hosted by will.i.am. I think it's actually going to be an interesting combination. I believe the story is about developing apps around the world. I could be off on that. The one that I'm more certain about is actually Apple's version of Carpool Karaoke. I believe they bought the rights from James Corden, who originally pioneered the series, and they're going to be doing Carpool Karaoke with, I assume, some Apple Music exclusive celebrities. So they're going to pack that inside of the music app, and we don't really know what this redesign will entail or what it's exactly going to look like, but video is definitely going to be big this time around. The second piece of information that Bloomberg dropped in regards to iOS 11 is the one that excites me the most out of everything we've talked about so far and everything we will talk about. It says that iOS 11 will be getting a redesign. The problem is we don't know how extensive this redesign will be. If Apple was just like, hey, we redesigned the entire OS from the ground up, new icons, new wallpapers, new user interface, guidelines, you're going to use your phone in a new way than before, I would be totally cool with that. I don't know if iOS is getting stale. I guess I'm just so used to seeing the same interface year in and year out that I would be ready for something totally new. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. Do you like how iOS looks, or are you ready for a change too? So if I had to stop the list right here, I would say that this is probably what we will be seeing in iOS 11, but nothing is certain. Some of these rumors are from some sources that don't have the best track record, but overall, I guarantee we'll see at least 2 of these changes. Most likely, once again, are some form of a redesign and that new music app. Now, the next change was inadvertently added in iOS 10.3.2 Beta 1, which removed the support for 32-bit devices and 32-bit apps. These are basically old apps that developers have not touched in a really long time, and Apple's kind of like, hey, you're welcome to update your apps, otherwise they're just not going to work anymore in future versions of iOS. And really, when Apple's saying future versions of iOS, they're looking at you and they're like, hey, 32-bit apps, you watch out on iOS 11. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I would bet that 32-bit apps will not see support in iOS 11. It's not a big deal because most of the apps you use on an everyday basis have been updated. It's really if the apps haven't been touched in years or months on end without seeing an update. And you can check that if you actually download a 32-bit app right now on iOS 10.3.2 or iOS 10.3.3. If you download an app that's 32-bit, it'll say, hey, this isn't going to work in the future. But I do think that iOS 10 will continue to support 32-bit apps for the duration of its life cycle. I couldn't see Apple just ending support out of the blue. All right, now you should be taking all of these rumors with a grain of salt, but these next three in particular, please do not expect these to happen. If they do, I think it's gonna be cool. They came from the same user on Reddit who posted this in a really long text post, and then the post mysteriously disappeared a few hours later. I don't know if the mods took it down or if the user was like, yeah, I just made these up, let's not get everyone's hopes up. It just disappeared and it's not there anymore. So I don't know how true these will be. The first one is peer-to-peer Apple Pay. Basically, you would be able to send money from your phone to someone else using Apple Pay, maybe by tapping phones or also sending money through iMessage. That one's been rumored for a while. I don't think it would be a big upgrade. Just imagine something like Venmo or Square Cash or PayPal where you can send money from your phone to someone else's. Now, this next rumor is where I think people started to ask, is this really legitimate? This user claims that FaceTime audio would be the default calling method in iOS 11, meaning that you wouldn't actually be using cell towers, you'd be using FaceTime audio to make and receive phone calls. The benefits, super crisp and clear audio, but it would take up some actual data and not just use cell phone minutes. I think it'd be pretty controversial. People would not understand why all of a sudden the technology went from here, like phone lines, to here where FaceTime is as far as quality goes, and it'd be strange. I think it'd be really cool if Apple gave us the option to do this, but I do not think it will be enabled by default. Too many people would be way too confused. Now finally, the same person said that there's gonna be an improved low power mode, like if you left your house, this is the example they gave, your phone's gonna know that you're away from a charger because you're not on Wi-Fi anymore at home, and then when you're in your car, it's gonna automatically turn low power mode on, and then when you get back out and connect to Wi-Fi, it's gonna know that you're near a power source or a charger, and it would disable the mode once again. It's kind of weird, and I think it'd be cool, but once again, really sketchy. Now there's one last thing that I wanna talk about before wrapping up the video, and that's dark mode, because this is something potentially exciting. It's just that we don't know whether or not it's coming to iOS 11. We heard about it first back in iOS 7 and 8, and then at some point during the iOS 9 cycle, and then finally we all thought, including myself, I was sold we'd be seeing it in iOS 10.3, but we still haven't seen it, and I would put my bets on the fact that it will not be there, at least in the first few iOS 11 betas. Realistically, I think, and what I've heard other people saying as well, is that Apple's waiting to put this dark mode in as a feature for the new OLED iPhone. Because OLED has amazing blacks, like you can literally turn off or turn on individual pixels on the display, you could create this incredible dark mode for the iPhone 8. And I think that's what Apple is waiting on. If it's coming at all, I think it's gonna come then. But sad as it is to say, I wouldn't expect it with iOS 11. If you've heard anything else about iOS 11 that I haven't, please leave it down below in the comment section. And of course, hit like and subscribe if you want to see more about Apple and iOS in the future. I've been Sam, I hope you're doing great, and I will talk to you guys later.